The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Good evening and welcome to Weyburn City Council for January 27th, 2025, second meeting of the year and a big agenda ahead of us. We do have a home-based business and of course our budget and a couple of other things. So I think we'll get to work right away. I would like to acknowledge that our youth mayor, Jackson Stadnick, is joining us tonight as well. A few folks in the gallery and a full house here. So let's get going. First thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the January 13th meetings.
Your Worship, I'll make the motion that the minutes of the regular council meeting and the Strategic Planning and Priorities Committee meeting held January 13th, 2025 be approved.
Your Worship, I will second that motion.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Administration, any additions to the agenda?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. There's no additions from administration tonight.
Council, any additions? No. Very good, thank you. Public hearings and notices, there are none. However, we are fortunate enough to have a proclamation tonight. So I'll read that first and then we'll invite folks up to the microphone if they want to do that, which I'm sure they do. Ladies and gentlemen, whereas studies show that inclusive schools and classrooms provide the best learning environment for all students, whether they are those with diverse needs and abilities or neurotypical peers. And whereas the City of Weyburn and Inclusion Weyburn recognize the importance of inclusive education as a fundamental right for all individuals of all abilities, backgrounds, and experiences, and whereas inclusive education provides an environment that nurtures diversity, promotes understanding, and ensures that every student has the opportunity to learn, grow, and reach their full potential in a supportive and respectful community alongside their peers. Whereas the inclusion of all individuals, including those with disabilities or diverse learning needs, enriches our community by fostering empathy, collaboration, and a sense of belonging for everyone. And whereas the City of Weyburn is committed to supporting initiatives that celebrate and promote accessibility, inclusivity, and equality within our schools, educational institutions, and the wider community. Whereas Inclusion Weyburn continues to be a dedicated partner in raising awareness about the value of inclusive education and advocating for opportunities that benefit students, families, and educators across the region. Therefore, through the authority vested in me by the City of Weyburn, I hereby proclaim the month of February 2025 as Inclusive Education Month in Weyburn. To celebrate and recognize the importance of inclusion in our schools, we encourage all residents, schools, and organizations to join in celebrating the power of inclusive education, raising awareness of its importance, and supporting the efforts to ensure equitable educational opportunities for every student. This will be proclaimed this 27th day of January 2025 at Weyburn, Saskatchewan. That is that. Now I would like to welcome up Kim Neithercut and Jackie Wilson from Inclusion Weyburn. Feel free to take the microphone and make a statement if you'd like. That microphone's over there. Sorry, my bad, sorry. You can come and sit here, in fact.
Well, just further to that, maybe is a more forward concern that a lot of people have. And studies are showing more and more that our students who do not have disabilities also gain so much more in their education from inclusive classrooms. And partly that's because schools like Legacy Park, where Kim teaches, are dedicating themselves to inclusion. Classrooms are no longer rooms with the door shut. They're collaborative, and as they work to meet the needs of our children with disabilities, they're looking at all of the individuals in their classroom and looking for ways to scaffold and meet their needs too. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win, and that's worth celebrating. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Want a picture? Yeah, we can get a photo in front of the, now you can come up.
Okay.
We hold this up, is that what happens? Yeah.
Is this how we do this? Do you want to be in the middle?
No?
Then in there.
One at a time, so we're looking at the same camera.
This feels weird to hold. No.
You can share.
Thank you very much.
You know, one of the things that happened here a couple of years ago is the City of Weyburn went through our strategic planning process, developed our mission, vision, and values, and it's right there on the wall. One of the things we envision for our community is that it is a community for all. So the City of Weyburn is very much committed to that, and I'm proud of that. That's important to me as well. So thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
You bet.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you. We will. I mean, there's some parts that will be less enjoyable probably, but we'll enjoy it. Okay. Okay, so on to next is reports of standing committees. I would look to council. I did have one. I wanted to just let everybody know that last week, the City of Weyburn and the RM of Weyburn had their first district regional planning commission meeting, and I say the first of this year, the first since the two new councils have been elected. The regional planning commission is important. You know, we talk a little bit today already about economic development, and it's important we have that partnership together between the two municipalities. We remain one of the high spots, I think, in terms of intermunicipal communication, participation, cooperation, all those things in our province, so that is a good thing. So I would say probably the big thing going forward with that will be things like the truck route as we build on those conversations. Okay, with that done, I would say next up is the consent. Sorry.
I could.
Please do.
All right. We have an update on our Parks and Leisure Services Committee as well. Part of our 2025 strategic plan for the city is to review all of our standing committees. And so we have just taken a pause, and we are going to reassess exactly what our committee is doing, as there's a lot of work upcoming in the next few years. So that's where we stand right now.
Thanks, Councillor Solowski. Anybody else? Awesome. All right. Next up is a consent agenda. If I could get a motion. Does anybody have a motion for the consent agenda?
Would you like to? I was going to make this motion, but you seem to want to. All right. In that case, I move that the following items on the consent agenda be approved: the cash activities report for November and the water treatment plant report for December.
You were seconder?
I'll second that.
You'll second that. Any questions about those two reports or any commentary? No? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Those reports will be on the city's website as part of the minutes of the meeting if anybody's interested in reading those. No motions. We are on no introductions of bylaws. There are, however, bylaws. So the one that we're going to deal with right now is the Queen Street access closure. So I will turn this conversation over to the Director of Engineering.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the Queen Street Railway crossing has been identified as not meeting Transport Canada's standards. A review of this railway crossing was completed by KGS Group in 2016, and again as part of the Regional Transportation Study in 2019. Both these reports recommended a closure or restricted access of the Queen Street crossing due to it not complying with the current standards. From CP Rail data, Queen Street since 2017 is the only railway crossing in Weyburn city limits to have a train vehicle incident during this time period. Since 2010, the Queen Street crossing has 10 struck vehicle incidents from the Transport Canada's rail network database, with the most recent incident occurring on November 6, 2024. In 2021, the Saskatchewan Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure held an open house and had a public survey requesting feedback on potential improvements to the intersection of Highway 13 and Highway 39. In 2022, the ministry started design work for a roundabout at this intersection. The project includes the widening of Highway 39 at the Queen Street entrance. Below is a figure showing the area of interest. On November 15th, 2024, the Ministry of Highways provided the Director of Engineering with an update on the Highway 13 and 39 roundabout project. The tender for the twinning and roundabout was issued in November 2024 with a late December award. The ministry plans to have the Queen Street crossing approach removed on the north side of Highway 39 in March 2025 before the Highway 13 and 39 detours are implemented. The plan to close the Queen Street access prior to implementing the detour for the roundabout construction is to restrict vehicles from using Queen Street as an alternate route due to the safety issues already present at the rail crossing. The ministry would be responsible for providing all the construction services and coordination with CPKC, formerly CP Rail, for the portion of Queen Street within the Highway 39 right-of-way, south of the railway, due to the planned widening of Highway 39 at this location. The ministry proposed to provide services to remove the portion of Queen Street on the north side of the railway at the same time, leaving Queen Street as a dead end at A&B Concrete South property line. The ministry requested direction from the City of Weyburn on the portion of Queen Street north of the railway before March 2025. After Council gave first reading to Bylaw 2024-3490, Queen Street Railway Crossing Closure at the December 9th, 2024 regular Council meeting, public notices went out in accordance with the City's public notice policy. Notices were advertised in the December 11th and December 18th, 2024 editions of the Weyburn Review, posted at City Hall and on the City website. Additionally, neighborhood notices were mailed to all property owners within a 75-meter radius of the property. On December 11th, 2024, a response was received from Bill Valbreck regarding the location of the closure. He requested that the closure be moved to the north property line at Regina Avenue, shown below in Figure 2, to restrict vehicle traffic from entering and using his property as a shortcut or turnaround point. On December 13th, 2024, the City issued a neighborhood notice to the two adjacent properties, notifying of the proposed change of location of the closure. No responses were received. On January 13th, 2025, Council gave second reading to Bylaw 2024-3490, being a bylaw to authorize the closure of a portion of Queen Street with the location of the closure between Highway 39 and Regina Avenue. Again, no public responses were received regarding the proposed change of location of the closure. Below is the figure showing the proposed location at Regina Ave. So it's recommended that Council gives third reading to Bylaw 2024-3490, being a bylaw to authorize the closure of a portion of Queen Street, legally described as ORA 56-08-14-2 Extension 0, with the location of the closure between Highway 39 and Regina Avenue.
Thank you. I think, so here's what's happened. We did the first reading in December, second reading 2 weeks ago, January 13th. So tonight will be the third and final reading. If it passes, then this bylaw will be passed. Okay. So first off, I will ask for a motion for this reading.
I'll make a motion, Your Worship, that Council gives third reading to Bylaw 2024-3490, being a bylaw to authorize the closure of a portion of Queen Street, legally described as ORA 56-08-14-2 Extension 0, with the location of the closure between Highway 39 and Regina Avenue.
Thank you. And a seconder?
I'll second that motion, Your Worship.
Thank you. All right, before we vote, of course, as always, questions, comments from council or input, if there's more, from administration. We'll start with Councillor Bador.
Renee, I'm just wondering how much we save as Weyburn taxpayers by having the highways do this. Is there an approximate how much we would save?
Yeah, so it's estimated that the cost would have been about $20,000.
Good? Yep. Councillor Higgs?
I want a reassurance that highways, whether it's in the contract or if there's such a thing, that we're not going to they're not going to tear this approach out and then this project be put on hold. And I don't know if that's possible or not, but that's what I would look for.
Yes. So I did speak with the Highways construction project manager for this project. It has been awarded, and the status of the project is now in construction. So he did confirm that the timelines that were in the tender haven't changed. So as of right now, Queen Street closure is still set for early spring 2025. And as far as I know, the construction is all set to roll as proposed. So we will be involved in some reoccurring construction meetings in the next month to keep relevant, up-to-date construction updates. So, yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
So if there is an opportunity for them to pump the brakes, I'll say, we'll make sure we express that to them at the time and say, hey, don't be doing this until, because I know how they work. And maybe you can't, I don't know.
Yeah, well, they did list it as a requirement with their construction, so I don't think it's likely, but we can definitely bring that as a concern if it came down to it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, other questions? Councillor Corrigan, anything? No. Councillor Janke.
If I can build on Councillor Higgs's comment, I think that might be something that we as elected officials need to be pushing our counterparts in Regina on as well, just to make sure we're, because Renee's probably right, like you know better than I do, but there's nothing stopping them from changing their plans halfway through. We've seen it before, and we'll probably see it again. Also, I've had a few people ask me, a few residents ask me about this particular crossing and how we came to this decision. And just in the interest of getting the answer, I've given them into the public record. I think it's fair to say that this council, the one before it and the one before that, have kind of fought this closure, if I can use that language, for a number of years, and resisted as long as we could. The railway wanted to close it for a long time. We didn't really want to. Eventually, they got Transport Canada involved, and once Transport Canada said it wasn't in regulation, it was really a matter of when and not if, and even then we pushed for as long as we possibly could until the ministry tied it to the highway project, at which point our hands are largely tied. And I think that it's fair to say that getting the Ministry of Highways to pay for it is kind of the best deal we could get out of that. Not to say we're not going to push for future considerations and favors from Regina in the future, but I just want to get into the record that we fought this for probably better part of a decade and didn't get to this lightly at all.
Yep, that's well said, Councillor Janke. Anybody else? Comments, questions? No, I would only sorry, did you have? No. I would only just, for as much as this has been somewhat controversial, I would say this, I am grateful for Renee for your work and for all of administration's work on this. Has been a long drive, no pun intended, to get this to where it is. So it is what it is, and we are going to be in compliance with Transport Canada when this is done, and that is an important thing to do as well. So here we are. This will be it. So I'm going to, if there's nothing else, we'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, new business. We have up next the 2024 tax arrears, and we'll go to the Director of Finance for that.
Thank you. So in accordance with Section 3 of the Tax Enforcement Act, below is a list of all properties that have unpaid taxes as of December 31st, 2024. These properties, upon notice, have 60 days to pay all the arrears and applicable fees. After 60 days, a lien will be registered on the title of the property that remain unpaid. So there is 121 properties that have over half of their preceding year levy still remaining, and it's a total of $416,040.52.
Okay. Can I get a motion for this, please?
Your Worship, I would move that the tax enforcement arrears list for 2024 totaling $416,040.52 provided by the city assessor be accepted as presented.
Thank you. And a seconder?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Sadlowski. Okay. Any questions or comments stemming from this report? Councillor Corrigan.
Your Worship, how does this compare to previous years?
Okay, so we did I got some background on that. In 2023, we had 73 properties at $232,000. 2022, we had 131 properties at $351,000. So it's comparable, but it is higher than usual.
Now, it was 121 properties this year?
Yeah.
As compared to 131 2 years ago. It's just that the assessed values are now higher?
That's right.
Is that correct? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Comment or question? Nope. That 400,000 will be helpful as we go into budget tonight. Councillor Higgs?
That was my very comment.
Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
When you look at the $400,000 in respect to a percentage increase within the budget, I think rough math is 2%? 1%?
Yeah, so 100,000 is 1%.
Yeah, so 4%. Yeah, so it's huge, right?
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Motion's on the floor, so I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Next up, one of our favorite things to do, home-based businesses. I would turn this over to the Coordinator of Planning and Development.
An application has been received from Mark Missal to operate a hockey sticks repair and sales home-based business out of his residence at 40 Shields Place, legally described as Lot 29, Block 11, Plan 101967587, located in the R1 zone. This will be considered a controversial use as the business involves clients being directed to the home throughout the day. The proposed hours of operation are Monday to Fridays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The applicant anticipates minimal traffic increase with one vehicle per appointment, and driveway parking is available. The zoning bylaw requires that controversial home-based businesses, which involves clients attending the home, go through the neighborhood notice process and receive council approval. Neighborhood notices were mailed out on January 8th, 2025 to all neighbors within 50 meters of the applicant's home. Residents receiving the notice were given the opportunity to comment on the application, and no concerns or objections were received. Below is the location of the property. Home-based businesses are a permitted use, meaning that landowners have the right to undertake the use in accordance with the bylaw, unless provisions of the bylaw are specifically contravened. Home-based businesses generally must meet the following provisions: be incidental to the use of the premise as a residence, be compatible with residential uses, be limited in extent in terms of volume of material sold and number of clients, not substantially increase the volume of traffic, and not detract from the residential character of the zone. The use identified would be considered a controversial occupation under Section 5.1.19 of the zoning bylaw, as clients will be directed to the home. Staff have reviewed the application and are of the opinion that the home-based business application meets the requirements of the zoning bylaw. Therefore, are recommending option 1 to council. So option 1, council provides home-based business permit 2025.001 at 40 Shields Place, subject to the following conditions. No person other than a resident of the dwelling shall be engaged in the home-based business as an employee or volunteer. No advertisement carrying the address of the dwelling in which a home-based business occurs may be placed in any media. The home-based business shall not occupy more than 25% of the gross floor area of the dwelling unit. The face of the home-based business sign on site must not exceed 0.092 meters squared and must be placed within the inside half of the front yard setback. This permit is only valid for the above address and is not transferable to another address. Reapplication will be required if the business moves locations. Home-based businesses are subject to periodic review to ensure compliance. Applicant's driveway shall be used for off-street parking of clients, and a City of Weyburn business license shall be obtained prior to the operation of the home-based business. Option 2, refusal of the home-based business permit 2025.001 at 40 Shields Place for the following reasons. A permitted use must have a reason for refusal. So staff recommendation, option 1, that council approves home-based business permit 2025.001 at 40 Shields Place, subject to the conditions listed above.
Thanks, Charlie. Okay, I'll get a motion.
Your worship, I'll make a motion that council approves home-based business permit 2025-001 at 40 Shields Place, subject to the conditions outlined by administration.
Thank you. The seconder?
I'll second that motion, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Corrigan. Okay, any questions? Council, any questions? Councillor Janke.
I'm willing to concede it might just be because I'm not a good enough hockey player to ever needed a service like this, but this feels very innovative to me. I'm excited to support something that seems unique and the kind of development that I'd love to see in our community.
Yep. Agreed. I've heard otherwise about your hockey skills.
You've heard wrong.
Okay, that happens sometimes. Okay, if there's no other comments, questions, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And I wish Mr. Masal all the best of luck in that adventure. Next up, we'll go to the Director of Leisure Services with the 55-plus leisure fee category.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the Leisure Services Department is continuously reviewing our operations, user trends, requests, and inquiries that we receive through engaging with our facility users and community members. A consistent discussion over the past year has been the senior age category currently used while establishing our user rates and offering our programs. So we've received numerous requests over the previous calendar year from our regular facility users and prospective users advocating for the senior rate applied on memberships, admissions to be adjusted to a lower age category. Those requesting the changes are typically retirees on fixed incomes and feel that the full adult rate is too costly to include within their lifestyle. Due to the costs, many of these individuals who would still be within that adult age category, who are 55 plus, are choosing not to purchase memberships. So some trends that we have seen from doing a bit of a scan is there's been an ongoing trend across the province through different service providers and communities to adjust their senior rate category down from 65 to 55 plus. We expect that a change to the rate category would support the city's vision statement of a community for all, as it will assist in breaking down financial barriers, resulting in a higher quality of life for our city residents, supporting increased access to health and wellness opportunities at our facilities. Due to the number of individuals within the adult age category who are 55 plus currently choosing not to purchase memberships due to the costs, we're experiencing negative impacts on potential revenue generation as well. It's expected that modifying the age category to active 55, the city would see an increase in the number of membership holders, which would also assist our target of operating at about 50% cost recovery at our facilities. So below that, I've just broken down the current fees as they differentiate between the adult and the senior superpass, or the senior category, sorry. So essentially, we would be changing out that senior age category to active 55. So all of those adults within that portion of the category would then drop down to the lower rates. So I just provided that to council. So the Leisure Services Department is suggesting a modification to the senior category, which would be reclassed to active 55. All rates associated with the category will remain as currently posted under the senior classification. So we wouldn't be doing any additional rate reviews because we go through a process for this. We would simply be reclassing the category up until the next rate review happens. A full review of the rates and the fees as part of our 3-year rate review would be completed this spring with proposed changes coming into effect as of September 1st, 2025, which is when our current rate structure ends. So our recommendation is to adjust the Leisure Services senior rate category to active 55 plus with non-retroactive changes taking place as of February 3rd, 2025.
Thanks, Andrew. Good motion?
Your worship, I would move to adjust the Leisure Services senior rate categories to active 55 plus with non-retroactive changes taking place as of February 3rd, 2025.
Thank you. And a seconder?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
All right. Any questions, comments on this change? Councillor Sedlowski.
Thanks, Your Worship. Andrew, there's been lots of talk about the prices of the not the walking, but the Spark Center monthly fees. There's lots of communities that allow their residents to walk for free. I know we haven't chosen to go that way. Can you give a little bit of history behind that and why we came to that conclusion?
Yeah, so currently we view the walking track just as we do the mini gym or the play structure or the field as an amenity that we offer within the Spark Center, just as we offer the swimming pool during the summer months. So we've decided when we set our rates for that facility just to blanket that out. So we have one age category to enter those facilities. That provides you with access, or not one age category, sorry, one rate per age category for your fees or your drop-in, and that provides you access to any of those amenities. If we start to look at additional changes, say like walking pass only memberships, something like that, then you may have to consider looking at all of the amenities that you offer in that building, because it's almost discrimination to then charge somebody who just wants to go for a walk something different than somebody that wants to run around in the gymnasium. So that being said, I think that there has been a lot of discussion around our fees, and there has to be a little bit of a deep dive into what we're charging in our rate categories as we enter into that next 3-year rate adjustment. Unfortunately, we've gone through some difficulties here with Leisure Services over the last year, so I think everything needs to be considered when factoring out those new costs.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else, comments or questions? No, I would echo some of what Councillor Sedlowski said as well. I'm glad we're going to go into that in the fall. I think that's important. I would also like to commend you on changing the name of it to Active 55 versus seniors. Although I am not 55, it is certainly on the horizon, so I very much appreciate that name change. Good work. Okay. That being said, let's call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much for that. Okay, guys, we get now the moment you've all been waiting for. The star of the show. This will be our 2025 budget, and I will turn it over to the Director of Finance for her presentation.
Okay. There we go. All right, so I won't go through these first couple slides. They're the same as what we had at the preliminary. So we do aim to have the balanced budget. Details out. The next one has the city budget. So we have our general utility and landfill funds. So I did add in, so comparisons to other cities. There is a website that wowa.ca. It provides residential property tax comparables. I'm not sure who developed this, but it's all, you can put in the cities all throughout Canada. The calculators and the content on it are for general information only. They do have a disclaimer that they don't guarantee the accuracy and are not responsible for any consequences in using the calculator. So I did put it in. You can put in Weyburn, and this chart, it shows other cities, and it doesn't give you it just shows it up with using 500,000 for a residence. So when I calculated it out and I went onto other cities' websites, the ones with the check mark, they did come in with within a $200, $300 range. Weyburn's actually calculated out to be a little higher. Ours would be like 200 more than what they calculated out. Estevan, they thought theirs would be lower, and when you go onto their website, it calculates out to be just under 6,400, not 6,900 as they have calculated here. But for comparables, it is pretty accurate. So it does show that we are quite a bit lower than, we are actually the lowest. It doesn't have every city. It is missing Warman on here and anything's on the small, lower end for numbers. So like something like Melfort, Swift Current's on here. What else? I can't think of the others. Humboldt, Melville, they're not included, I guess, because they're smaller cities. So I did a comparison just to show the number of properties in each class that we have compared to other cities. So this is using the 2023 data. This is off of the Government of Saskatchewan website. So we have just under 11,000 people. Agriculture, we have 5 properties, residential 3471, condos 778, municipal or multi-unit residential 68, commercial 375 for a total of just under 4,700. So it just compares us to other cities to show like where we are on the scale of like commercial. So like for instance, Estevan has like 578 commercial properties that they tax. All right, so how our city's funded, same as in the preliminary, nothing has changed on here. So we have property taxes and grant in lieu just under 14 million. We're looking at grant funding of just under 6 million. Fees of 2 million, reserves just under 500,000, investments and other of 1.2, so 23 million for our general operating fund. And then our utility fund, we're looking at a total of just over 7 million. And our capital fund of just under 5 million. So that's a total of 35,135,000. Here's the same graph that shows out what portion of our general operating fund goes to each department. So we still are sitting at a tax increase of 6.2%, and that's a $660,000 increase in revenue that we're looking to bring in. So our operating and capital, so the operating budget is 23 million and the capital budget is just under 3 of a total of 26 million. And then we have detailed out our general operating fund. It goes through where our revenue is coming from, our expenses, so what we have for actual and 2024 budget and 2025 budgets. I also included a breakdown, so expenses by category, so it shows our wages and benefits, materials, maintenance, materials and supplies, our contract services, utilities, detailed out what our 2023 actuals are and our 2024 budget and our 2025 budget, and then just a percentage of what it is as a total. So our general capital fund, nothing has changed from there, from our preliminary budget. With our utility and our landfill. So this is the same as we had with our preliminary. So our water and sewer and our water treatment operating budget is just under 6 million. Our landfill is 1.4 and our capital is 4.6 million. Total budget of just under 12 million. And then we have detailed out the revenue for our utility and our landfill and our expenses. So then each department, it shows the departmental costs, and what our actuals were for 2023, our budget for 2024, and then our budget for 2025. And it shows out what our wages and benefits are professional contract in every category for expense and what we have for each department. So within administration, our budget is 2.8 million. Police, it details out, and they are budgeting for 5 million in expenses and a capital of 110,000. Fire, we have a total of 1.5 million and 12,000 in capital. Leisure services, 1.6 million, and they don't have any capital budget for this year. Our parks is at 1.5, and they have 273,000 budget for capital. Our facilities department is at 4 million, and they have 725,000 for capital. Planning and development at 453,000. Engineering, 873,000. Public Works at just over 3 million, and they have 1.5 in capital. Our fleet services, so they're just under 1.4 million and 265,000 in capital. And our infrastructure revitalization program is at 700,000 for 2025. So within our water and sewer, they're budgeted at 3.1 million in their operating and 2.9 for capital. The water treatment plant is 2.7 million and 1.7 in capital. And the landfill has 1.4 million in their operating budget. So just to reiterate, how will the taxes increase, or how this increase will be collected? So through the mill rate, we'll collect just under 450,000, and we'll collect $210,700 through our base tax. So this will be an increase of $50 in our base tax. So on a $300,000 home, the impact will be approximately $115 total, and it's just under $10 per month. So some fun facts on our services that we provide. These are our budgeted costs when we take out the revenue that we bring in. So this is the cost that it would cost our tax base. So like Crescent Point Place in the sports arena, it would cost our residents a total of $131 per year. So on their taxes, and so that would be approximately $11 per month. Our park maintenance is $128 per year, just under $11. The Spark Center, $69. So that's $5.77 a month. The Weyburn Leisure Center, $24 a year. The library and Southeast Library, $46 per year. The Weyburn Airport, $2. Our refuse collection is $6. Sidewalks and street repairs, just under $9, and tree pruning and our inventory of our trees is just under $6 per year. And that's it. So we will have, if the budget's approved today, we will have it all formatted and put together and up onto our website.
Thanks, Laura. All right, let's get the motion on the floor first.
I'd like to make the motion that the 2025 City of Weyburn budget be accepted as presented.
Thank you. And a seconder?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councilor Morissette. Okay, open to questions, comments. Councilor Morissette.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wanted to start out by thanking all of the administration who came out to our public forum nights. It was great to have you guys there as a bit of backup as council, just so that you could help us answer those tough questions. And a huge thank you to the public who came out. I know that first night wasn't overly nice to be out, but that second night we had a lot of people come through the sunroom. So thank you very much for coming out and giving your opinions. And 2026 budget, we've already started working on it. So keep those opinions coming.
Thanks. Councilor Janke?
Yeah, I will echo what Councilor Morissette said and add to that. I realize that there's a lot of stuff in this budget that's not exciting, but some of the unexciting stuff is the most important things to do. We would all like to pour all of our money into fixing potholes, but if we did that, we'd end up with much worse problems from things that we're getting maintained at the same time. So, but do keep the opinions coming. I think it's fairly obvious to say that there are more things we could be doing, more projects we could be working on if we had more money to go around. Obviously, there's not enough to do everything in 1 year, so it's always valuable to hear from the public what is important and what's not.
Thanks, Councillor Janke. Anybody else? Yeah, Councillor Higgs.
I would just comment that as everyone can understand, the costs of everything have went up. The numbers in here, when you look at capital particularly, are staggering. And, you know, to Councillor Janke's point, some of the projects that we're working on aren't all that upfront. I mean, things like the dam and things like that. No, they're not fixing maybe the pothole in the front of your street, but when we don't have drinking water because the dam breaks, then we got a bigger issue. So we got to make sure we're looking after everything. So I appreciate administration. I know we've every year we seem like we're hard on you to try to get the numbers that we're looking for. It's a lot of work, and I thank you for that. So
good. Councillor Bador.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, as a rookie, this was an eye-opening experience. You know, I know Kelly and I for sure, and a lot of us lost a lot of sleep over this, and we battled a lot. And the one thing we don't show a lot is the cut list. So there's a lot of projects out there that our team here wants to do, and we have to be as responsible as we can. But we can't keep on kicking the ball down the road, and we have to try to get. You're never going to get ahead, but we have to keep on scraping the surface here and moving forward.
Yep, thank you. That's it. Okay, yeah, I would agree. 6.2% is one of the larger that we've had in recent memory, but zeros and ones just aren't a reality, so we can put those days behind us as well. Okay, I think that's it. We'll call the question. Oh, yeah, sorry.
About the 6.2%, Mr. Warren, if I can borrow your credibility here, if we did that same one for 4 straight years, we would still be in the lowest third of Saskatchewan cities. Is that correct?
That's correct, Councillor.
Okay.
Yeah, so when we look at the numbers that Laura provided, so the province does a really good job of doing comparisons of all municipalities, and so we'll be seeing those numbers, I bet, in March or April for 2024's numbers. And we are generally always in the bottom third for residential and middle of the pack for our commercial base. One of the stronger things that I was quite appreciative I've seen in Laura's presentation is to show what kind of tax base we have. It's really good for you as council to have that understanding about, you know, differentiating of number of residents or commercial properties comparable. And for us, it's always a job that we have to look at based on the tax dollars coming in to make sure we can maximize that going forward. So, Councillor Janke, you're correct. If we continue to go on the path we are going, we will still stay substantially lower than a lot of those cities in the province, and especially stay in the bottom third.
All right. Thank you, City Manager.
Yeah, thanks for that clarity. That's important. Okay. We'll call the question now. All in favor? That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you, administration. That was a long haul. We appreciate your work. That was a deep dive. Look, that is it for new business and everything else. Now we will just go to inquiries and announcements. Councillor Morissette.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to circle back to the roundabout.
Oh, did you put her up to that, Councillor Higgs? Yeah, I thought you might have. Boo.
Anyway, Director of Engineering, Renee, has the province given you any indication as to where the detours are going to be while that particular area is going to be out of commission?
Yes, absolutely. So they're planning on the detours on the west side of the intersection. We'll be using RM Road, Range Road 2151. And then on the east side, they'll be utilizing Highway 13 or First Avenue Northwest and Northwest, and then Highway 35.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Other inquiries and announcements? Councillor Bador?
To Renee about the 16th Street and First Avenue lights. I know there's been a little sometimes controversy on those, and just you give us a little bit of insight to how those work and how we're working to get those maybe better.
Yeah, for sure. So we have installed some cross-traffic detection cameras at those traffic signal lights. they were originally set for a standard amount of time. So as they work right now, or they're programmed right now, is to give priority to the east-west traffic on First Avenue. So that means that they will stay green on the east-west traffic unless a vehicle is detected on the north or south, so that would be 16th Street. And then if a vehicle is not detected for 3 seconds, it will rotate back into that prioritizing the green for the First Avenue. So we are just working out some kinks. It is technology, so we're relying on technology to operate and function based on human operation of the vehicle. So we did do some adjustments last week based on some concerns and questions being brought forward about either too long of wait times or not enough or too short of times. So we adjusted the times a little longer to see if that's going to help. And it's not, the programming isn't set in stone. We can continually adjust it to make sure it works, but just with the weather too and winter conditions, the vehicles might be driving a little slower, which would result in a little longer of a lag time that the cameras wouldn't adjust for automatically. So yeah, we're working through some of those kinks.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for that explanation. You helped me understand it, and I did the sort of research, pulled up to the lights and paid attention. There was nobody behind me, and it is working in the way that you describe, but it is different than what we're used to, I think, and that is interesting. Any other inquiries and announcements, Councillor Sadlowski?
I just want to say that the Red Wings play Estevan this weekend, Friday night in Estevan and Saturday in Weyburn, and we have a lot of the players' families in town, so I would encourage anyone who can to make their way down to Crescent Point Place for the game.
Yeah, I just wrote down last weekend the team celebrated its 1700th franchise victory. I think second in the league, is that correct? So congratulations, and that'll be a good weekend of hockey. Okay, anybody else? Nope. All right, hearing none, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today